a kind of comfortable kind of feeling that I have from the depth of my heart. The appreciation goes back to those old days when I had those difficult times under my tutors and traditional treatments and all these things. So since the outcome is very positive, so I wouldn't complain anyway. Instead of complaining, I would say I had a very good time.
许多次，每当发生某些令法王气馁的事情时，都让法王想离开这个世界，不再转世。
I mean, personally speaking, I would definitely prefer going to some other places and do some more sort of meaningful charities rather than hanging around over here where there's not much of work, or in other words, where there's not much of beneficial activities that I can really provide. Here what I'm really talking about is that, those genuine teachers, masters, gurus, I sometimes feel that they do not really have that much of job left in this world, because people's interest to the teaching is very shallow. Southeast Asia and most of Tibetans and some of the Westerners also, they are quite interested not for the teachings, not for the development of their day-to-day life. And there are a handful people in the West and East and even in India and Nepal and Himalaya region who are really interested in enlightenment. But there are very, very few, very minority. And I would say from the point of view of bodhicitta, of course, even if there is only one person, you have to be vowing yourself to come millions of times back into the world to save and to liberate this person. This is really great if you have that kind of motivation. But I guess sometimes I do have a shortage of motivation or shortage of strength of the bodhicitta. But at the same time, I sometimes wondering that if I were the one who has really the power to control my birth and my sort of death, I would definitely come back in a different form. Sometime, of course, I might have said that I wouldn't like to come back at all. Or I might have said that I would sort of like to leave soon or something like that. But of course, it's not something that you have to worry about. And overall, I would love to live. I would love to come back to meet my friends and my people, my students and my beloved ones. And I think if one is smart enough, I think you are much better off to stay here rather than leaving, because first of all you have to go through all the intermediate state, and then you have to go through the difficulties to find your correct mother, and then after that, I don't know, 1 month and how many days of stay in womb is a very difficult thing that you went through. And then of course after that you had to go through the educations and all the difficulties that I was really talking about. And now if you are smart enough to think about the situation, I think you definitely would love to live as long as possible rather than going.
那么要如何才能让像法王这样的上师注释来领导我们朝向究竟的解脱呢？
It is the harmonious living. People should be putting a lot of effort to live harmoniously and very friendly and understandingly. It's a very important. And it's not only for the master or teacher to live long, but for themselves also. It's much more better off to live harmoniously and friendly and happily and sort of supportively for their own sake also. Not only in the mundane level, but the spiritual level, if they do want to practice the spiritual path. How can they practice without kind of a peace of mind? If the mind is full of anger, jealousy, criticism, and all these things, then where is the peace? And without peace of mind, I wouldn't think that they will be able to practice any sorts of mantra, any sorts of meditation, any sorts of things. Because mind is blown up by the ego and the manifestations of ego. And it's a very shameful also, embarrassing. I think it's longevities of everybody needs this sort of support of living harmoniously and comfortably. For instance, if a couple or a family members, if they keep on sort of angry each other and sort of leading their life aggressively, obviously many members of that family will definitely attack with the stroke and the blood pressures and this and that, and they will tremendously suffer a lot. So it's a very logical, it's nothing special presentation or special kind of teaching or anything else, or the mundane part too. So especially talking about longevities of your own master, then of course it is a very big issue, because it becomes issue of samaya, and samaya leads you to either to the enlightenment or the vajra hell. So there is a kind of a two option, and you better take that, the enlightenment option. We call it upper option, not the downward. So you have to go up. You would rather go up than the down. Down refers to the vajra hell, whatever it means. So this is quite a big issue anyway.
当法王留在这世间，领导和救度那些和他有缘的众生时，身为一位在世间传法的灵修导师，他必须履行几个责任，而他也谈到他最大的心愿。
Speaking about my sort of strongest wishes spiritually, especially my own students, they should understand what is really the message of Lord Buddha. They should understand how to live not ignorantly, but with the wisdom. That actually means they should understand each other, even though they have naturally a bit of anger, a bit of desire, a bit of jealousy, etc., etc. But when they start to know each other quite well, for instance, your friend must be angry today, but you understand that he or she is a human being, and these kind of emotions, are almost a characteristic of a human being. So it's quite understandable that he or she got a little bit of irritated for some reason, and importantly, that he or she is totally influenced by the ego. So there is not much of sort of choice for your friend not to get angry, not to get sort of jealousy. You will be very compassionate to him. You will be very understanding. You will be very kind to him. At least you will be sort of keeping yourself cool. That's what I meant to say by living harmoniously, living understandingly, living very happily, despite of having all these difficulties that human nature will carry it, and it will carry, and